I grew up broke, and for years I struggled to change that. Then, last year, I finally figured it out.
I can't believe I'm doing this. Let's put it to the test. I'm changing my life in 365 days.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flame out. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.
I am so fucked. You gotta laugh. I know this is not going to be easy, but I'm always up for a challenge. I'm going to be documenting myself throughout this whole year through vlogs, short form content to see if I can make the changes that I set my mind to, including building a company from ground zero. Okay, so a lay of the land. I'm sure that you've also experienced having a business idea and then the excitement fizzling out, or doing workouts somewhat consistently and then falling off the bandwagon. Or maybe it's wanting to post content but never quite following through. That trait, it is in all of us, but very few of us do all of the work necessary to get through the obstacles and make it to the other side. I found there's so many books and podcasts on how to fix singular issues. For example, how to build systems and not habits, or how to make $1 million in property investment, or just in general, how to manifest. None of these things worked for me until I figured out the actual sequence to apply this in and the nuances behind it all.
Okay, for context, I grew up in a struggling family, and you name the issue, as long as it wasn't illegal, we had it. So for me, it took me 8 years to really rewire myself for success, and it wasn't easy. There were times where I was in a share home, there was times when I slept on a mattress on the floor. But after about 8 years of finally trying to figure it out, last year was the first year that I finally started to put those puzzle pieces together, and they finally started to make sense.
That methodology that I figured out, we're putting it to the test with me as a guinea pig for the whole year. If my thesis is right, I will be in a very different place at the end of 2026 compared to where I'm starting it off. And all the content that I produce on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, that'll hold me accountable. Plus, I'm kind of hoping that this helps encourage you as well, because I get it, it's not easy. So here are the core areas of my life that I'd like to improve. Number 1, business. I am building a company from scratch. I would really like to show the both of us what is possible, because I am not there yet in terms of what I see for myself, but I know it's waiting for me. I'll be growing a media company and agency, which means I'll be producing content on how I build my startup, like I'm doing right here, how other people build their startups, or helping you grow your own. Next, fitness and health. I am not new to this. I have gotten consistent and then fallen out of patterns, but not necessarily in the way that you think. I no longer have difficulty getting myself to work out like I did in my early 20s. That mental chatter that goes on, stopping you from doing what you need to do, I've already worked through that BS. That is not exactly the issue. I am having trouble making my physique the way I envision it to be, whilst my main priority is making money. I tend to go all in and get hyper fixated on one thing to the point that the rest of my life goes to shits. It is honestly an issue and I cannot stand it, which leads me to the next point, lifestyle. Wow, if 2025 taught me anything about myself, it is that if I am not focused on this lifestyle goal that I have, I will spend the whole year locked in a room. And locking in is great until you realize you're fat, you have brain fog, and you look like the hunchback of Notre Dame. So I'm going to have to make an effort to leave the house, remember to buy some clothes even. Yes, it is really that bad. Connect with more people, whether it's through networking or with family members, and experience new places, because there's so much that the world has to offer. I am only scratching the scratch of the surface. Money is important. That is what drives me at this stage of my life. So the business will be my North Star, but I don't want to look back after having chased everything that I want in regards to business and finances, and then realize that I've sacrificed things such as my health and other things that just make life whole in general. Now, I just listed the 3 core areas of my life, but I have enough experience to know that I can really only focus on one core goal, and that is going to be my business. So the rest of them, they'll have to remain secondary goals. Let's just be real here. The world revolves around money, so I need to have that as my main focus. Plus, that is going to be the thing that ultimately has the biggest impact on the rest of my life. So that'll be my North Star. I've actually been putting together this tracker for myself with this exact method that I did a trial run with, and it happened to work really well. So I've also made it into like a template, which you can use as well so that we can hold each other accountable. So I'm going to put that North Star vision in its compartment along with a description. Okay, this is what I meant about other resources never really explaining how to get this concept to work for you. This can't be what society tells you to do. This can't be what your family wants for you, because the only way I've achieved anything, even like incremental changes, is because I made that decision to make those changes and follow through with it. Now, the severity of the fire in your belly at that moment in time might vary depending on how much you want that end goal that you have in mind. I've had small kindlings of interest as well, but it's up to me to fan that little spark so it actually turns into a flame. Now, I'm going to take that North Star vision, and here is where it gets interesting. There are no freaking rules to life, obviously. I am the CEO of my company and my life. So I am focusing my efforts on things that are ultimately going to excite me. I don't want to do those boring OKRs or Q1 plans. Honestly, they make me want to go to sleep. And if I'm the one who has to breathe life into my business, I'm going to make it fun for me. So what am I going to do? I'm going to track revenue. Duh. What you do not measure, you cannot improve. And I love money, not afraid to admit it. And keeping my eye on it constantly, weekly, if not daily, is what is going to help make sure that we make the strides we need to, as well as me notice when anything is falling behind and us take the necessary steps to make sure that we do hit our goals, because I would want to catch up. I also need to track some of these social metrics because that's part of building a media company. So another note here, I've had this issue in the past where I had no idea how to set these goals or how to set these targets and even visualize a number that I would want. How the heck do you know if your goals are too big, too small? I would just end up confused. That number needs to be somewhat of a challenge, but also somewhat attainable for you. That way, it will excite you. You see the pattern here? I am all about setting myself up for success, because remember, there are no preset rules. You decide them and you guide yourself towards the best possible outcome that you want for yourself. Whatever that number is, it can't be so low to the point that you think it's boring, but it also cannot be too high to the point that you think it's unattainable and you just want to tap out and abort mission. Challenging but exciting, that is the sweet spot. Here is the juicy bit. Now that we have the goals that we want to achieve month after month after month, what I want to do is then further break down those goals into projects or tasks. Because I want this whole 12-month challenge to be a series for me, I'm actually going to start a new YouTube channel, so I need to write that down as a task. And once you have that all filled out, you know what the action steps are that you need to complete right now. So come over with me to this mirror here. This is where I am currently at. I'm also 60 kilograms. This is one of my secondary focuses, right? I also have like an end vision for this in mind. Think lean machine with a little bit more muscle mass on my body frame. But I also need to remember that because this is a secondary goal of mine, I'm not trying to be Miss Olympia here. I actually need to just measure the inputs that I'm doing, meaning how many workouts that I do per week, which is going to be 5 times a week. I've been working out mostly at home, so I've got these weights here. Over the years, we've also accumulated this. Initially, I started gathering home workout equipment back in the day because I was super self-conscious, not just of working out, but of not knowing how to use those machines at the gym. Because if you think about it, if you're struggling with something, you need to limit the amount of obstacles that it takes to get you there. So for example, if I don't know how to use the machines, well, I'll know how to use the dumbbells. If I know how to use the dumbbells and I'm self-conscious of people looking at me, then I can work out at home. And you leave yourself with the only one obstacle of you versus you. That means you know it is just on you to get yourself over the line. But it has been quite a number of years. I am no longer self-conscious anymore, and I am looking to challenge myself further with the workouts that I do. So I'm going to take you tomorrow to sign up to a gym membership with me. Since lifestyle for me is going to be a whole array of stuff, whether that be updating the stuff at home, updating my wardrobe, getting off of my desk and doing activities, traveling, connecting with people, basically all the fun stuff that makes life more whole and well-rounded, right? The system I'm going to use to make sure that I'm improving on this each week is by implementing rewards. If I feel like I've stuck to the plan and done a good job at my task for the week that I set for myself, then I get to reward myself with something on that list. Now with things like travel, I know it's a larger commitment, right? So how I'm going to hit 2 birds with 1 stone is by traveling whilst turning it into a business event. For example, I will go to a conference or a networking event or something similar so that I can make sure that I'm productive whilst also going on these trips and ensuring that I'm actually going out there. Speaking of, I actually have a call with Notion tomorrow to talk to them about potentially speaking at one of their events for the startup community. I'm supposed to be talking about this experiment specifically, so that should actually set me off in the right direction in regards to traveling while working.
Wait a minute. Work hard for the cause, so that's why it's all
Hello. I have some somewhat good news. I had a particular idea in mind. I think I figured it out. So I've actually got most of the template kind of sorted.
The ability for them to opt in.
I will sort that out, and then I'm going to start working on the 102 lead magnets updating, and then I'll probably share that with you. Okay, bye. Okay, I finished talking to the Notion team. It is confirmed. A speaking gig was like definitely not in the books for this year, but I'm always up for something new. It's actually kind of crazy how this thing came about though, because it was through someone from the Notion team DMing me on LinkedIn, us just having a quick conversation about this challenge that I'm doing. And I said, hey, look, I can explain maybe a little bit more about it because I feel like there's a crossover in what you're doing and what we're doing. And we end up having a meeting discussing my challenge that I did, the trial version of the challenge that I did last year, and it ended up going great. I decided to do the full year this year. They liked the idea. It ended up turning into not just a quick collaboration on providing these templates of how I'm doing the challenge and how I'm splitting up the goals that I want to achieve month by month. It ended up turning into the template plus a speaking gig plus a partnership and sponsorship that we want to do all in one. Moral of the story, if you're a founder, you need to pitch your story over and over again, because as much as you feel like you're ranting on about the same thing again and again, not everyone knows what you're doing, and no one is going to care about your business more than you do. So you have to be its advocate. That being said, I've got a lot of work to do. If I want to hit my targets, I better get to it. Hello. They're coming back to see the house.
Yeah, so they wanted to come either this Saturday or next week. Yeah, I think it's been confirmed 3 p.m. tomorrow.
So what's this double inspection for? Yeah.
I can ask.
It's kind of funny because there's so much lore and storyline that I probably haven't referenced to in regards to this house selling, and it seems like it's so close to getting over the line, which is kind of crazy to think about, because for me it's been pretty much a 1.5 year journey trying to get this house sold.